You ever wonder why someone might just vanish from your life? No huge blow up, no dramatic goodbye, just silence. It's one of those things that can look really cold, maybe even cruel from the outside. But today, we're going to dive into the psychology behind walking away, and you'll see it's almost never about anger. Most of the time, it's actually a really powerful act of self-preservation.
So let's just get right into it. Have you ever been in a conversation where you just give up? Like you are so deeply tired of explaining your side of things, so drained from even trying, that you just go quiet? Or what about this? Ever notice how after talking to one specific person, you feel completely wiped out, but you can't really explain why? If any of that feels familiar, then you already know what that emotional exhaustion feels like. And it's often the last stop before someone walks away for good.
And this right here, this slide just nails the total disconnect between how walking away looks and what it really is. To everyone else, it can come off as cold, stubborn, like you're just giving up. But the reality? Oh, it's so much deeper than that. This isn't weakness. It's a sign of a soul-deep exhaustion. It's a desperate move to preserve what's left of yourself. It's someone finally drawing a line in the sand, a final, non-negotiable boundary.
Okay, so to really get this, we have to start with the brain. Because here's the thing. The decision to walk away, it isn't always some big, thought-out, conscious choice. A lot of the time, it's basically a biological command. Let's take a look at what's actually happening when your brain is stuck on defense.
So what even is this defense mode? Well, think of it like a smoke detector in your house. It's meant to go off when there's a fire, right? Well, your nervous system has a very similar alarm system. When it picks up on an emotional threat, a toxic relationship, a person who constantly makes you feel unsafe, that alarm starts blaring. But what happens when that alarm is going off all the time? You get chronic stress and a level of exhaustion that is just bone deep.
And this is the chain reaction that leads right to that silent exit. It all starts with disrespect. And I'm not talking about a one-time argument. I mean a pattern, a constant violation of boundaries. This forces your brain onto high alert, into that constant state of stress. Your mind is basically screaming, this is not safe, this is not healthy. And that's when the escape happens. It's your own nervous system hitting the eject button to find safety.
Okay, so that's what's happening in your brain. That's the biological side. But what about your heart? How do we emotionally handle these kinds of draining situations? Let's get into the strategies we use, consciously or not, to protect our own inner peace.
This brings us to a really important concept, severe social burnout. And listen, this isn't just feeling a little drained after a party. No, this is a deep, profound exhaustion that comes from being stuck in a one-sided relationship. And you know exactly the kind I'm talking about. You're always the one listening, the one solving the problems, the one cheering them on. But when you need that support, crickets.
This table really just lays it all out, plain and simple. In a healthy relationship, energy is reciprocal. It flows both ways. Support is mutual. The result? You feel a real connection. But in a one-sided dynamic, it's a dead-end street. You give and they take. The result? Total burnout. Your brain literally starts to flag that person as a threat to your resources and your well-being. And this is such a crucial point to understand. When you are that burned out, being alone doesn't feel lonely. It feels like a relief. It's like finally breaking the surface of the water after being held under for way too long. It's the quiet, simple joy of just plugging in a battery that has been run down to zero.
And on top of all that, something else starts to happen. When you've been let down over and over and over again, you start to build a wall. You just stop hoping things will ever change. You lower your expectations all the way down to the floor. It's a defense mechanism, a way to shield yourself from that constant sting of disappointment. It becomes an emotional shield.
And this is where a really hard truth comes into play. You can talk until you're blue in the face. You can give second chances, third chances, 10th chances, but at some point you have to face a basic principle of psychology. The best way to predict what someone will do tomorrow is to look at what they did yesterday and the day before that. If someone has shown you repeatedly who they are, believe them.
And that realization, that is often the final straw. You finally see the cycle of hope and disappointment for what it is, a hamster wheel you just can't get off of. You realize that no matter what you say or do, things are not going to change. And the only way to break the cycle is to step off the wheel entirely.
So let's zoom out and put all these pieces together. Walking away isn't about giving up, not at all. It's about taking your power back. It's a quiet, dignified, and incredibly powerful act of self-preservation. It is you drawing a final line in the sand and saying, with your actions, no more.
And the benefits of drawing that final line, they're huge. You get to feel in control of your own emotional state again. That constant simmering anxiety, it starts to fade. The feeling of being emotionally overloaded all the time, it goes away. You're not just surviving anymore, you're actually protecting your peace. You're finally enforcing a boundary that should have been respected from the start.
And I want to be crystal clear about this. This act is not about revenge. It's not about punishing the other person. Sure, there was probably anger and frustration along the way. Of course there was. But the final act of walking away, it usually comes from a place of clarity and peace, not burning passion. It's a decision made with a clear head, even if it's with a heavy heart.
Because when you boil it all down, the brain's defense mode, the social burnout, the emotional shield, it all points to one simple fundamental truth. You have to protect your own mental health. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first.
So I want to leave you with this thought. If you've ever had to quietly walk away from someone, please know this. You are not cold. You are not a quitter. You are a survivor. You are someone who is brave enough to choose your own future peace over a painful history. And that right there is something to be incredibly proud of.